Welcome to the ZAYDH podcast, the space where our conversations bend toward possibility and where growth stops being a cliche. I'm Zulfah, and today we're talking about something deceptively simple but deeply powerful. The psychology of micro-investments, how something as small as 1 rupee a day can completely reshape who you become. See, everyone loves to talk about massive success stories, but rarely do we pause to ask what truly builds them. Today, I'm not here to talk about motivation. I'm here to talk about momentum, because behind every extraordinary transformation lies one invisible law, the compound effect of consistent, tiny action. The ground reality. Let's start with honesty. Most young people I meet today feel stuck, not because they lack intelligence, but because they're buried under the illusion that big change requires big moves. You tell yourself, when I have time, I'll start. Or, once I have money, I'll invest in myself. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Waiting for the right time is the fastest way to waste time. The problem isn't laziness. It's intimidation. You look at self-growth as a mountain when it's really a staircase. Society glorifies leaps, but life rewards compounding. If you think saving Rupee 1 a day or reading 2 minutes daily is pointless, it's not weakness. It's misunderstanding psychology. Behavioral economics calls this the consistency principle. Once we commit to even the smallest positive action, our brain seeks coherence. It needs to align our identity with that commitment, propelling us toward bigger steps naturally. Why small investments work? Micro investments work because they hack your brain's resistance. Large goals trigger fear. Small ones bypass it. When you decide Rupee 1 a day or 5 minutes for me, your brain says, okay, that's easy. That's the power of the micro, no friction, only flow. This phenomenon is at the heart of every behavioral design strategy that works, from savings apps to daily habits. In fact, research shows that micro-investment platforms succeed not because users invest more, but because they invest consistently. Around 80% of users on platforms like Acorns report sustained commitment after starting small. Why? Because action creates identity. And repeated action rewires belief. The moment you stop waiting for motivation and start relying on habit loops, growth stops being emotional and starts being inevitable. The 1 rupee example. An Indian philosophy reinvented. There's something deeply poetic about the 1 rupee concept. It's not a fintech idea. It's cultural philosophy. Indian families have long practiced micro-giving, ancestors putting aside a handful of rice daily for those in need. It taught generations that greatness is built in whispers, not thunderclaps. Now imagine translating that into self-growth. What happens when you invest Rupee 1 daily? Not just in money, but in effort, learning, compassion, or skills. It's not about value. It's about intention. That rupee becomes a daily vote for your future identity. When you commit to a micro-action, you're not just investing in outcomes. You're building psychological ownership. Every day you contribute, even a rupee, you subtly shift your personal narrative from, I'm trying to improve to I'm an investor in myself. Story of a student. Riya's Rupee 1 habit. Let me share a story. A girl named Riya from Pune joined our habit challenge. When asked to invest Rupee 1 daily toward learning, through reading, networking, or courses, she laughed. What difference will it make? But she still did it. After 30 days subscription, her ZAYDH dashboard showed subscribe for Rupees 30 comes with 30% learning growth. Not remarkable money-wise, but something had changed. She'd read more articles than in the past year. She'd commented on professional posts, connected with mentors, and started journaling her reflections. The real transformation was invisible. Rhea began identifying as someone who invests. From that moment onward, every rupee, every act, every post carried momentum. In 6 months, she began freelancing, using skills she'd learned through those microsteps. That's how Rupee 1 became her first business plan. The science of compounding growth. Let's zoom out scientifically. The compound effect, popularized by Darren Hardy, follows a simple formula. Small, smart choices plus, consistency plus, time is equal to, radical difference. That means when you do something repeatedly, no matter how insignificant, exponential returns emerge, not linearly, but dramatically. Think of it like interest, not just on your money, but on your mindset. A 2023 Nature study on micro-investors found that individuals who began with micro-actions developed sustained motivation, outperforming those who made larger, inconsistent efforts. This is why progress feels invisible at first. Compounding growth starts slow, but then accelerates beyond prediction. And that's the trap. People quit just before the curve bends upward. Why students struggle to see value? Here's the tough part. Most students today believe self-development is either luxury or luck. You'll spend rupees 300 on coffee without blinking, but hesitate to invest rupees 10 in a productive app. Why? Because the mind discounts small effort. Psychologists call this temporal discounting. We undervalue future rewards because the payoff isn't instant. So we scroll, complain, and wait. But growth doesn't work that way. That's why ZAYDH built systems like the Rupee 1 plan, to break this cognitive bias, to make progress visible through micro-actions. By paying Rupee 1 daily, you psychologically buy into your own accountability. You literally train your brain to see growth as accumulation, not achievement. Imagine if your personal growth wallet reflected your effort every single day. That's a mirror you can't ignore. The 1% better identity shift, James Clear, in Atomic Habits, explains this beautifully. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. When you aim to improve by just 1% each day, after a year, you're 37 times better, not 37%, but 3,700% better. That's the quiet math of compounding. Building a Rupee 1 a day mindset creates this invisible ladder. You start measuring progress in persistence, not perfection. The more you show up, the less resistance remains. Growth becomes something you live, not chase. The psychological trick, public commitment. Behaviorists have found that public micro-commitments, like sharing your daily goal, drastically increase follow-through. Why? Because of commitment consistency bias. Once you declare something, your subconscious works to maintain integrity with that declaration. That's why communities like ZAYDH thrive. Every student who joins is not just investing Rupee 1. They're joining a silent pact of accountability. It's psychological social proof in motion. Each member mirrors another's effort, creating an ecosystem of momentum. This is how small numbers create scale, and scale creates change. The problem we don't talk about. Growth fatigue. Let's pause here. Everyone today talks about motivation, but nobody talks about fatigue. I've seen brilliant young people burn out from chasing unrealistic jumps, then label themselves as failures. That's because when growth feels overwhelming, the brain seeks escape through comfort. But microgrowth has no entry barrier. There's no failure in 1 rupee a day. You can't mess it up. The safety of consistency keeps your identity stable, even when motivation dies down. That's the core of psychological self-compassion. designing change that's too small to trigger guilt, too steady to collapse. From education to transformation, here is a harsh truth. Our education system rewards memorization, not momentum. Students finish degrees, not identities. In contrast, micro-investment habits train you to learn, reflect, and act every single day. When a student reads one page of a meaningful book, writes one reflection, or donates 1 rupee, psychologically, they're investing in agency. The message isn't, I'm becoming rich. It's, I'm reclaiming control. ZAYDH's philosophy is built around this. Daily discipline is destiny disguised as routine. Real-world analogies. Micro-investing has transformed entire economies. Think of mutual funds, microfinance, or SIPs. None of them promise instant reward, but they create behavioral alignment. They teach ordinary people what even high-paid professionals forget. Consistency beats intensity. Now imagine applying that same principle to personal growth. Rupee 1 invested daily for 365 days isn't 365 rupees. It's a reflection of 365 acts of ownership. That mindset compounds into unstoppable confidence. Reframing success. Let's redefine what success really means. It's not about viral wins. It's about invisible progress, the kind that compounds behind closed doors. A single page read, a single rupee saved, a single goal reviewed. That's how extraordinary people build ordinary foundations. We live in a generation addicted to outcomes but allergic to small beginnings. And yet, every major revolution, from Gandhi's Salt March to the 1 rupee food movement, began with micro-actions scaled over time. The question isn't, are you capable of greatness? The real question is, will you invest 1 rupee worth of effort today? My challenge to you, let's do something radical. Starting today, I challenge you, commit to 1 micro-investment daily. It could be Rupee 1 in your growth wallet, 1 paragraph of reflective writing, 1 positive interaction, 1 small donation, 1 minute of mindfulness. You don't need grandeur. You need evidence. The human brain learns through repetition, through proving to itself, I'm the kind of person who invests. Every day that you keep that promise, your self-image grows stronger. And before you know it, the game has changed, not because you did something huge, but because you did something every day. So if you've been waiting for a sign to start working on yourself, this is it. Growth doesn't demand money, privilege, or luck. It demands 1 daily decision. Rupee 1 a day is not about currency, it's about consistency. Because the truth is, greatness doesn't arrive all at once. It accumulates, quietly, through daily acts of belief. This is Zulfah, and you've been listening to the ZAYDH podcast by ZAYDH.com. Remember, the most valuable investment you'll ever make is not in the stock market. It's in you.